it up, roll it up, let it strong. Roll it up, roll it up, let's roll it up, roll it up. Why talk about it, be about it, take another shot.
Hey, yo, what's going down? I'm OD, and this is Slump Sessions. We out here, we back. You know, I took a little break, but I had to come back with the man himself, the one, the only, Mr. Fred on him.
Yes, sir, in the building.
Hey,
you already know.
Man, whenever we did Lunatics interview, I think that was actually a couple years ago. Maybe.
I think it was.
Might have been last. Yeah.
It was like maybe a year and a half.
So whenever we did that one, I was like, I have to get Fred to do his own. He has to get his own. Because the crazy thing is, you have a personality that people don't know because you're on the back end of a lot of things.
Facts.
And producers don't really get the love that they should.
Oh yeah, we don't get the credit. I say DJs don't get the credit, but we kind of like we're like a DJ. You feel me? But we not DJs. But I think DJs don't get enough credit. You know what I'm saying? I think DJs anybody get who the least respect. Shout out to every DJ.
Hey, shout out to the DJs.
I rock with all the DJs. If it wasn't for DJs, I wouldn't even be who I am. So
I think anybody who's not the artist doesn't get the respect that they should. Facts. Producers, engineers do a crazy job too.
Engineers too. Shout out to engineers.
Shout out to engineers.
Bruce Bang, Black Card, Steve-O, and my guys. They let me use this studio all the time. Shout out to everybody that's rocking with iMix Houston, iMix certified.
Hey, shout out to everybody. But let's get it started from the beginning. And who is Fred Onum, man?
And Fred Onum is a very talented young man that came from the trenches and made it out. And I just been reaching back, trying to put everybody in the spotlight, because if it wasn't for everybody rocking with me, I wouldn't be here. So I got to reach back and make sure, I keep the city alive, keep the culture alive, because this is what I love, And that's important, at least to me, of you saying that you reach back and, you help other people. Yeah.
That I think that's something that, is not done enough, and just all over in general. A lot of people like to look out for themselves, and
facts.
And I get it on that end, but I'm also the type that I'm always wanting to help somebody else out.
For sure. Because
you never know, whenever what little thing you do for somebody, how far it'll go.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like when I was coming up, it was a couple people, that I wanted to work with and do stuff with, and they didn't necessarily give me the opportunity, you know what I'm saying? But I still reached back when I got my plateau, and I still reached back and helped them, you know what I'm saying? That's just the type of guy I am. Man.
Yeah, and it goes a long way, and it says a lot about a person's character, to be honest. Man. So where are you from, and how did you kind of get started in all this?
I'm from Southwest Alief, Texas, to be exact. I don't like to say it a lot, but I was raised on Forum Park. Everybody knows about Forum Park. I pretty much, been around the whole area, Alief, from Bissonnette all the way down to Highway 6. And
okay.
So on and so forth,
And you said you don't like to say it too often, but what about that area kind of crafted you or like shaped you to who you are today?
Just, seeing what was going on at a very early age and just wanting to get away from there, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that it was just bad for me, but I just understood at an early age that this is not the environment that I want to be around. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom, she did one hell of a job to, keep me from being in the streets over there. That's Crip territory. A lot of prostitutes over there. A lot of stuff. And I did what I had to do. I was smart. I'm very smart. So from the age of 5 all the way up to, I want to say 14. Yeah, I kind of like stayed back and forth over in that area. And,
okay.
Hey,
shout out to all the moms out there, man.
Yeah, shout out to mama. I love you, baby. That's my baby.
Hey, so Did you always know that you wanted to do music, or how did you get into that? Was there always music around the house, or?
Man, music is everything to my family. Like my grandmother and my grandfather, rest in peace to my grandfather Gerald White, rest in peace to my grandmother Opal Johnson and James Johnson. They played a lot of music, man, like Earth, Wind and Fire, Gap Band, Al Green, James Brown.
Okay.
Frankie Beverly and Mays. I can go on for days, but music has always been around. I didn't really necessarily think about doing music till I was in middle school, because I used to get home from school and I used to stay on Derry Ashford and Bissonnette right there across the street from Elsick. Everybody know the Mint. I used to stay in the Mint. So the Mint, it was Crip territory as well. There was a lot of gang banging and stuff going on around that area. So around that time in middle school, I used to just stay in the house.
Yeah.
And at the time, my dad, he was married to my stepmom. She had like 5, 6 girls, plus my sister. So it was just a house full of women. And I had to find something for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when I was like 5 or 6, my mom bought me a keyboard. She even put me in piano lessons and shit like that.
Okay.
And I ended up moving with my dad, and she was cleaning out her store. She was like, I spent all this money on this keyboard. You don't even use it. You need to come and get it. So I went over and got it. And it used to just sit in the hallway closet in the apartment. And I used to just be so bored. I didn't know what to do. And one day I just pulled it out. And I couldn't really record anything.
Yeah.
But I could split the keyboard down the middle. So I would have the piano on half of the keys, and then I had drums on the other half.
Okay.
And I'll just sit there and just play with the bass drum and the clap and the snare, the hi-hats, and play a little keys on it, you know. And I was like, man, I could really do this. What if I could make my own bass lines? Because, like, growing up, like I say, music was a real big thing for my family. So like my dad, he used to listen to Scarface, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, who else? Ghetto Boys, Fat Pat, a lot of Fat Pat, a lot of Lil Kiki, just a lot of like real like gangster Southern, like the real music. So every system, like back in the day, my dad was a slab rider. Like he used to have a slab, like he was in the streets back in the day. So my daddy had a slab, and he had 415s in his slab.
Oof.
And just over time, you know, every car, every vehicle he had, he would put a system in it. Yeah. So I used to ride in the front seat with him all the time. We used to go to South Park, and I used to go to my god brother's house. Shout out to Lil Dre, my Uncle Greg, Aunt Rhonda, Tremaine and Brandon, Uncle Andre, Uncle Lindbergh. We all used to like just hang, you know what I'm saying, and listen to music and turn the bass knob up and just bang bass all day. So I was like, man, what if I could tear people trunks up with my own shit? And then I want to say like a couple years later, when I got in high school, I figured out how to make beats on FL Studio, and it was up.
And back then, a lot of that music was like bass driven.
Yeah, real bass driven.
A lot of bass lines and stuff. And for you as a kid to catch on to that and want to be that is crazy, because a lot of kids are probably in that same position you were in. Yeah, they got that keyboard and they don't know what to do. Yeah, and I think it's important to have some kind of what is it, like an outlook or an something to do whenever you're that young, especially whenever you're so impressionable and stuff. And
you gotta have an outlet, man, because if you don't have an outlet, something that'll keep you from getting in trouble, you're gonna get in trouble. Because I could have gotten so much trouble easily.
And then you never know the potential that you have unless you try something.
Yeah, for sure. I always knew I'd be great at something. I just didn't know what. But music really touched my soul. It did something for me. It was therapeutic. Like, I went through a lot as a kid, you know what I'm saying? And that was the only thing I could turn to make me happy. You know, I didn't turn to drugs. I didn't turn to the streets. I didn't turn to anything that would jeopardize my life, my mind, my
Yeah.
freedom. Music was my savior.
That's important. That's good. And I know before we started doing this, you talked about one of your teachers having an NPC.
Yeah. Shout out to Miss Thorpe. I don't know where Miss Thorpe at.
Hey, whatever she's doing.
Yeah, I gotta ask my mama where she at. But my sister, Crystal, her mom, you know, we have my siblings, we have the same father. I'm the
Okay.
only child between me and my mom and dad. So my sister Crystal, her mom, she knows Miss Thorpe. Miss Thorpe was my band teacher at Ollie Middle School. And she was teaching us rudiments and stuff. I was in the marching band side of the band. So I played snare, tenor, tri-toms, quads, bass
tried.
drum.
I was in the band. I was so bad. They would put me like on the xylophone and the triangle.
Oh yeah, you played percussion then.
Yeah.
So I was a percussionist, and she would teach us rudiments and stuff like that. And she wanted us to really understand tempos and, you know, quarter notes, half notes, eighth notes, triplets,
All the measures and everything.
Yeah, all
and-
the measures and signatures and all
Yeah.
of that. So she brought an MPC to school one day.
Ooh.
And she let us play with it for a couple minutes. Each one of us had a time period to where we could mess around with it. I didn't know what I was doing, but just for me to, you know, touch it and
Hands on.
I've seen people use it to make music. It was pretty
Shout out to the
inspiring.
teachers, because teachers have an impact on
Facts.
people's lives that they might not even know. And a
Yeah.
good teacher goes a long way.
Yeah, still to this day, Miss Thorpe got me using the beat machine. You can't see it behind me, but it's right here. Y'all know I use the beat machine. Y'all
Oh, yeah.
know.
So whenever you were, you know, first starting out and stuff, did you ever want to be the rapper, or did you always want to be the producer?
I never more so wanted to be a rapper. I don't like attention for real. I don't like to be looked at by people a lot. But these days, as I've been growing older, I've been embracing it, because even if I'm not rapping, I'm still behind the rapper. If it wasn't for the beat, the rappers don't really get heard. So I'm still gonna get seen like a rapper. So these days, I'll be rapping here and there, but I mostly wanted to make beats.
We ever gonna get a Fred on a mixtape?
I wouldn't say a whole mixtape, but y'all will get
Little
some
EP
content.
something?
Y'all will get some content from me. Me and Lunatic got a jamming ass song. I'm gonna put it on my album that's coming out. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying, this year.
Oh man! All right, can't wait to hear that one.
Yeah.
So you talked about, you know, Scarface and the Ghetto Boys and Tupac as your very young influences, but whenever you were starting to actually get into it, who are some of the people that you actually looked at and actually influenced the way you produce and stuff?
Drummer Boy. Shout out to Drummer Boy. He's actually one of my good friends. I looked up to Drummer Boy a lot in my heydays when I was younger.
That's full circle. That's cool.
Yeah, like he's really one of my like good friends. It's so cool to, you know, look at somebody like Drummer Boy, who's a Grammy winning producer,
Yeah.
you know, actually like rock with me. You know what I'm saying? Him, Jazzy Faye, Zaytoven. I got a few beats with Zaytoven, Shawty Red, those four. Pharrell, I say Pharrell too.
Okay.
Who else? I don't want to miss anybody, but yeah, those are pretty much like the, you know, producers that I looked up to. GMB too from Houston. Those are some of the producers that really helped me with my sound for sure, especially GMB. Like, they are the ones that really took me in at an early age and was like, yeah, he gonna be the next one. Like, we gotta, you know, help him, because he gonna be next. We influencing the culture, and they influenced a lot of my sound in the beginning too. I learned a lot from them.
Is the producer scene, or like producer, you know, genre or whatever, kind of close, or is it kind of all over the place? Or
Producers stick together pretty heavy.
Yeah.
More than rappers, I would say.
Okay.
Because like at the end of the day, we're the reason why the rappers can't even rap. You know, we record them, we make the tracks, we come up with the ideas sometime for them. We write some of the lyrics for them, you know. We show them how to ride the beats, all of that.
Y'all are definitely, like I said, the unsung heroes of it.
Yeah,
like,
man, for sure. And the engineers.
Yeah, without a good producer and without a good engineer, a lot of these rappers wouldn't be
Facts.
what they are. Because if you can have some of the best bars, but if you spitting over something that nobody wants to hear, and we've seen it over the times. Some people could write some of the best stuff, but if it's something that nobody wants to hear, nobody's gonna hear it.
Saying what it is.
So, what is? I was on YouTube and I was looking at your stuff and I was looking at Wave Mechanics.
Yeah.
What is Wave Mechanics, man?
And the Wave Mechanics is my production company founded by my dog T-Wayne. Me and T-Wayne been rocking for many, many years, over 10 years now. I met T-Wayne back in 2011 or 10. Him and Cheddar the Connect, you know, those been my brothers for a very long time. Before anybody was really rocking with me, you know, it was Cheddar and T-Wayne.
Okay.
Cheddar used to manage T-Wayne before he got into the rap game. T-Wayne was just making so many dope records. Cheddar was like, man, I got to get on something. So, you know, shout out to T-Wayne. But Wave Mechanics, it's my production company. I have 6 or 7 producers under me.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say they're under me. They're a part of the
It's a collective. It's a whole group.
None of my producers are signed. Like, I don't want to sign them. I don't want to have them in a box. Like, they're like family.
Yeah.
All of my producers are like family. Like, I can go to their cribs. I can eat out their fridge, use their bathroom. I can sleep at their cribs, you know. It's deeper than the money and the music.
And that's good because you see a lot of times these producers and these artists get into deals and stuff, and then it
People
just
hold them back.
It holds them back a lot. And for you, like you said, you're helping out people, and you're always looking to have help out something, and then to have these artists and not sign them, but you want them to flourish as much as they can, and that's dope.
Yeah, I want them to surpass me because at the end of the day, you know, it's not all about me. It's a group effort. You know, this music stuff, you can't do it without collaborating. It's all a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Not one song has came out the studio without somebody's input or help.
And everybody,
whether it's a friend on the side who don't rap, make beats, engineer, DJ, nothing, or somebody that is in the industry. They never come out the studio without some kind of help.
Yeah, I mean, more than one mind is better than just yourself.
Facts.
And like you said, even if it's that person that's off to the side, he's just over there, smoking by himself or something.
Facts.
Everybody has an input and everybody sees things differently, and then that could shift the way you see it, and you're like, oh, okay. Never thought about it that way, and
right.
And that goes a long way with being able to take that kind of criticism or that kind of direction from anybody.
Hell yeah.
And some people get stuck in their ways and they don't want to hear nothing else. Their way is the only way. But for somebody to actually be able to, switch around and stuff and take that goes a long way, especially whenever you're working with artists.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, we all pushing for the same goal. We pushing for the same thing. So why not do it together? It makes it easier. And like I said, it's not all about the money. Like, the more of us pushing one movement, the money's gonna flow in abundantly. So nobody has to worry about money. All we gotta do is put in the work and let people know, hey, this is what this is. Y'all gonna rock with it or not? It's gonna move regardless.
And it's a labor of love. For sure. For sure, you have to love what you're doing to actually do it, because in the beginning you're not going to be making much and you're not going to be doing it, but as long as you love it and you stick to it, that's the main thing.
Yep. I was in the game for 6 years before I got my first big hit.
Man.
Didn't see a dollar.
Hey, something it's like that.
Yeah, man. For sure.
And like from that time to now, whenever you were first starting out, social media has kind of was just starting to come out at that time. Like, whenever you were starting, I think it was probably maybe MySpace or... Yeah,
MySpace was popping at the time when I first started. Yeah.
How has social media kind of influenced you as a producer and been able to, grow you?
It just allowed me to let people hear my work without having to be directly in their face. Like, I'm dope, so I just share it. People
Yeah.
think I'm dope too. They share it.
And it
Now
helps
other people think I'm dope, and it just keeps going.
and helps you connect with artists and stuff that you would probably
Yeah,
never
yeah.
even get the chance to be around, you know, from different states and different, you know.
Yeah, like I say, I had the link between Cheddar and T Wayne through DJ Static. He was working with my brother, Doughboy Sauce. It's my real brother, and yeah, went to prison for a little bit, but I was still going to Politician Studio. Rest in peace to my big homie Eric Cooper. He really let me use his studio all the time. He never charged me $1 to use it. I used to record, make money, sell my beats out of his studio right there on Ricky Street. Y'all know. But I met DJ Static there, and he gave me the link to T Wayne and Cheddar. And even though I hadn't got a chance to meet them yet, I did a beat for him. And I ended up reaching out to T Wayne on Twitter, and we locked in ever since. And that's how that social media shit works, you know?
And it's crazy because now, especially with TikTok and Instagram, you're able to reach millions of people with just a
Yeah.
click of a button.
Yeah.
With especially on TikTok, I go through TikTok and I see so many producers, so many people doing different stuff, and you just hear the different sounds, and it's kind of blending the sounds.
Yeah, for sure.
West Coast used to have a sound, the South used to have a sound, East Coast used to have a sound.
Now anybody could do a sound.
Yeah.
Any sound.
Now it's blended, and you're just hearing these genres and these subgenres just popping up all over the place. And how important is it for an artist to kind of find their sound and kind of hone that sound? Because you hear a Pharrell beat, you know it's a Pharrell beat. You hear a Timbaland beat, you know it's a Timbaland beat.
Yep.
You hear a Fred beat, you know it's a Fred beat. How important is that as a producer?
It's very important because at the end of the day, if there's 20 people doing the same thing, it doesn't make it exclusive. Anybody can do it. Anybody can have it. And when it comes to branding, marketing, and selling anything, mostly every person in the world wants exclusive shit.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
is what it
It
is.
is
And
what
if
it is.
anybody can access it, a lot of people don't want it. So it's big to, you know, create your own sound for those reasons, because you want to be able to stand out and you want to be able to have people come to you and get what you're offering
Yeah, they
because of who you are and not just because you got it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people come and get beats from me because it's like, man, I know I'm going to think outside the box if I go to Fred. I know Fred's going to do this. I know Fred's going to do that. I don't have to really worry about this or that when I'm going to Fred, because Fred is going to take care of me. He's going to have me sounding good. It's going to sound different. It's not going to sound like everybody else's stuff. So when I do put it out, it's going to be refreshing to the ears, and that's what's going to make people gravitate to me.
What is like kind of your process like whenever you're coming up with a beat? Are you sitting down with an artist? Are you coming up with like the melody first? Are you coming up with the drums? Or is it bass?
It depends, man. It just depends on how I feel. Some days I go in the studio and I have a bass line in my head that I've been singing to myself for 3-4 days. Sometimes I just get in there and click some shit around and it just comes out.
And
you
it
know?
just happens.
All I got to do is find a sound that resonates with my spirit, and I just take off.
How is it whenever you don't finish a beat and you come back a few days later and you're like, man, what was I doing with this?
Man, I done had plenty of those.
Where was I going with this?
A lot of times I be ahead of myself.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm ahead of myself until like you say, you come back later and listen. Like, it's been times where I don't even come back like 3 days. Sometimes I'll come back 2 years and I'll be like, man, this is so hard. Why didn't I bounce this out?
Yeah.
And then I put it together and I bounce it out, and end up becoming some big shit.
Yeah.
Just like I got a song called Sinuses with the Sauce Twins from their Don't Let the Sauce Fool You mixtape. And I had let that beat sit on my computer for like 6 months.
Wow.
And I was just going through my projects, and I opened up a project and I was like, yo, this bitch is banging. I put it together. And I sent it to Sauce Walker, and I didn't even know him and Sancho had rapped on it until the project came out.
Hey, shout out to the Sauce Twins.
Yeah, man. Shout out to TSF. You know,
Yeah,
that's
shout out to the
family.
whole TSF, man.
That's family, man.
They got I've actually been doing a series on TikTok where I'm going through and listening to their artists, because
Oh, yeah.
they got some
Oh, yeah.
they got some gems in there, man.
Yeah.
So
So they
they-
came a long way. Like, a lot of their artists have been doing their thing for a very long time. And one thing I'm big on is growth. You know what I'm saying? Even for myself, like, I can't sit back and not make a beat at
Yeah.
least. If I can't go a month without making at least one beat. If I go 1 month without making a beat, I get depressed. all
I feel that.
it take is one. Even if I make 10, even if I make 20, it don't matter. I just gotta make one. If I don't make one, I feel like I'm not living up to my purpose. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And that's how they all are. They don't not go to the studio at least once. They're always in the studio working on something.
And I know, especially for me being a creative, but as somebody who's creative, whenever you're just sitting there not doing anything, it feels like an itch. Like you
Oh, yeah.
you need to do something.
It's
You-
like I'm having withdrawals.
yeah, exactly. And man, that's crazy that happens to you as a producer. You know, because I feel that whenever I'm not doing anything, and then you say you have to at least do one.
I gotta do at least one, bro. If I don't do one, I'm gonna beat myself up about it. I'm gonna be like, nigga, you not doing your shit, bro. You really suck. Like, why you not making no beats? You ain't making no beats. You suck. Because I'm not pushing the issue. So if I'm not pushing the issue, it's somebody that's working more than me every day.
Yeah, I feel that.
But it only take one hit, so that's why I said I just gotta make at least one, because that one could take me to above and beyond. If somebody's doing at least just a little bit more than me, then I'm not living up to my purpose. So I have to do a little bit more than everybody.
I feel that. That's a great mentality to have.
Yeah.
To be, to be able to push yourself. I see artists all the time, especially with doing what I do. Is I with the underground artists, you see people who have so much potential, but they don't live up to that potential, and that's sad to see.
Yeah, man, because to be honest, this is something that, this is like a, how can I put it? This is like a personal one-on-one with God for me.
Yeah.
Like, I let God use me when I make my tracks. Like, it's not me using my brain. Of course, I use my brain to put the track together and bring the sounds together, but God is using me to be able to do that.
Whenever
You know
you're
what I'm
behind
saying?
those keys and stuff, it's just like a spiritual thing for you.
Yeah, when I come in the studio, this is like my sanctuary, like
Yeah.
my alone time with God. Like, this is like my prayer, my meditation, my worship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Going back to creating your sound and stuff, the Fred on them tag, the tag that everybody knows, man. How did that kind of come about? And you've been using it for years.
Yeah, man, that came about. Shout out to my dog, Dwayne, B Hottest. That's like my dog, like my day one, one of the very, 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 very first people to ever believe in what I was doing. But we were in high school together. We went to school together, and we just built a friendship because we were one and the same. Like, he was one of the only people I seen in the school that would walk by himself, be by himself, didn't really care to engage with anybody. And that's how I was. And I was like, man, like, he gets it.
Yeah.
And come to find out, we had a lot of the same similar interests, but he wanted to rap more than he wanted to make beats. So I taught him how to make beats. You know what I'm saying? And he's still rapping and making beats to this day. One day we just we used to talk every day, and one day we came to school, and he seen me. He was happy to see me. He was like, "Ooh, that's the boy Fred on him right there." And I was like, "Damn, that boy said Fred on him. That kind of got like a little ring to it." So he just kept calling me that throughout school every day. And one day we went back to his crib. Shout out to his parents. They used to, they were very strict on them, and they'll let me come to the crib and I could stay over for a little bit, and they'll feed me food. His mom, she's a chef. She cooked her ass off. So I used to sit there and eat with them and shit like that. I've even spent the night over there a few times. But yeah, one day we just came home from school doing what we normally do. And I had a beat that I had made the day before. I sampled Sparkle by Cameo. And he rapped on it, and before like the beat drop, he was like, "Fred on him." And he did the delays with his voice like Pimp C used to do. Because we didn't really know how to put the effects and stuff on the voice. So he kind of did the echoes with his voice. So I just took a little piece of it and I cut it out the session and I saved it as a wave. Put it on a little flash drive, and then when I went home later, I put it in FL Studio and added some effects to it and shit like that, and then it's been up ever since.
Do you ever think about updating it, or?
Oh, I have plenty of tags. I got tags from Don Tolliver saying my name just willy-nilly. I got tags from Sancho, I got tags from plenty of people, but
that's the one that's
the one that just stick.
Yeah. You hear it. I mean, it's iconic at this point. Like, you hear it, you already know it's about to happen.
Yeah, it's just, I've been pushing it for so long, getting it in people's head, and I'm still pushing it. I want to get it even more bigger. That way, when I do try to, use my other tags, like I say, I have a tag from Don Tolliver. That's my guy. Shout out to Don. I'm gonna start using that eventually.
Man, so from going to producing, at the beginning stages and stuff, and then building yourself up, how did you go to making your first album, your first project, Fred on 'em project, basically?
Just being in and out the studio, working consistently for years and years and years. Like I say, I really never got any type of sleep for real. Like,
was the first one the self-made, or was it the
Rebirth?
Rebirth. Well, that was the first one.
Well, I had a mixtape come out before the Rebirth, but the Rebirth is like my official album. Like,
okay.
It's me like actually letting people know, hey, I'm creating like something that is monumental for the city.
That was what, like 2019? 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my very first album, my debut album, and that just came from collectively just working, staying in the studio consistently, not getting sleep, building relationships, I ended up putting that together.
How is it trying to get all these different artists on the same album, or is it all from in studio, or are you sending these to these artists?
It's all in studio.
Okay.
Man. Like, I got a record on the album. It has Bloodbath on there. I have a record on the album that has D Flowers, Fifth Ward, JP, Sleep Dog. Shout out to Raw Rap Sleep. You know what I'm saying? For Fifth Ward. Me, Iceman Chamberlain, and I think J-Rag made that track. If not J-Rag, I think it was me and Ice. But it was just all from us being in the studio, just being there.
Yeah.
We pulling up, everybody rock with each other, and we here. Let's just work.
And did you know that these were going to be going on your album, or was it just, just sessions that happened, and you're like, oh, this would be good for the album, or?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? Some of the songs that are on the album, we plan to put on there.
Yeah.
But some of those records, while I was putting it together, it just kind of flowed with what I had going on, especially the sonics behind it, like the engineering, the mixing and mastering. I mix and master my own albums and produce them and
okay,
all of that.
And I'm sure there's some some bangers that didn't make it to the album.
Oh, there's some super bangers that didn't make it. But, you know, that's why we're content creators, and I advise any artist or producer that is putting out an album to not try to overload your audience. You know, push your music, market your music, and, you know, give it time to, you know, work its magic. Like, this is a spiritual thing, so, you know, you got to give it time. I say like a year to a year and a half with pushing a project is okay, and people think that's not okay, but it is, because my first big single, it took a year for it to blow up.
We're in the day and age where it's constant. People are wanting constant. It's just crazy, because especially whenever you're creative, you're an artist or something, the mentality to want to push that much, I mean, it's okay, but it's also okay to sit on something, take your time, craft it to where it was good, because now you're having artists put out some mid every couple weeks.
But there's some artists putting out fire, and they're not allowing their audience to soak it in, or they're not giving themselves time to let more people find out about it. They're on to the next. So you putting out all this fire and nobody's hearing it, and then you're discouraging yourself, and then you're wasting content. And then you got to go back in the studio and create more content, try to get more fans. Like, let it grow on people and push it to people and let them hear it to grow your audience and your fan base. And that way you can save a lot of your great work and still put out great work, and it impacts harder every time.
And there's a reason artists from 15, 20 years ago have made classics that we still listen to today, because they weren't just pushing anything out. And especially back in the day, it was a whole different process to recording somebody. So it was,
and the budgets. You had to have a crazy budget.
And man, the process was different and everything. So they were taking their time and they were crafting it, and they weren't rushing it. And that's why we have timeless classics from them.
Facts, because the more time you put into it, the more time it lasts.
Yeah, and then now we have a lot of these artists that aren't letting stuff simmer and letting stuff grow. Because whenever you first put something out, it's going to be your core audience that finds it, yes.
Yep.
But there's still people 6-7 months down the road that are barely going to be discovering it.
Facts.
And then they feel like they're late.
Facts.
They feel like they're late because you've done put out 3-4 singles or something since then.
Yeah, that's why I respect the record companies a lot, because they know what they're doing as far as like a fan base. Like, me and Don Toliver have so many songs that are unreleased that'll never get heard. And just like going back and looking at some of the songs that are released and seeing comments that say 1 month ago, 2 months ago, and it's like the song is like almost 4 years old.
Yeah.
People are still like, how does this not have more views? How am I just now finding out about this? How is this? How is that? And that's why I say it's okay to, you know, just let stuff sit, let it simmer, and let people find it, because it's going to continue growing. And as long as it's growing, it's money being made.
Yeah. Oh, I might have to hear some of those.
Yeah, we got some crazy music, man.
Man. So from going from Self-Made and the Rebirth, what is kind of like the difference between making the two? Because there was a good little gap between them, like you said, but I'm sure the process would kind of changed. Or what is the difference between making your first album compared to your second one?
Well, the difference is, like, I would say, like, the vibe and where I'm at in those states mentally when I'm creating them.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, like I say, I vibe with artists and we're in the studio and we have conversations that nobody really have. And a lot of these conversations be like real conversations, like, that help us grow mentally and, you know, just push our narrative that we're pushing. And a lot of times me and the artist have the same view. So a lot of times artists, I wouldn't say they're insecure, but a lot of times they're just on the iffy side about what they want to put out. And as a producer, I know the potential of an artist more than they know their own potential sometimes. So I'm kind of like a spokesperson for the artist.
Yeah.
And I'll put certain songs out to let people know, like, this is how we feel. You know what I'm saying? That way they don't have to overload their catalogs and put out too much content to where people are like, man, like, we want something else, or you gave us this and you're giving us something else. We ain't finished with the same conversation we just had. So I'm kind of a spokesperson for the artists at times when they feel like they don't know what to do.
What is that relationship like with an artist? Whenever you're first getting to know somebody and you're trying to get to know them, and producers and artists, they get a close relationship. You've seen it over times where, these producers are so close with these artists, and then they're always making music together. What is that kind of relationship like whenever you're trying to get to be with an artist?
Like I say, it's just sharing similar views. Like me and Lunatic, like when me and Lunatic first started to make music, like I had been knowing him for 2 months and we had never did a song. We'll just play video games and smoke together. You know what I'm saying? And
so it started out as like a friendship before it even became.
Yeah, like we just share similar views. Like I said, like my homie from high school, like I seen him walking by himself even after school, walking to school by himself, in school by himself. You know what I'm saying? Not talking to anybody, just being to himself. Like, it's just certain things that just grab me because I know how I think about him. So I know he thinks the same way about it. Because why is he doing that? There's only so many reasons why he's doing that. And a lot of times it be for the same reasons I'm doing it. So when we in the studio, it's just natural. You know what I'm saying? Like, conversations spark up. We have the same views on the same things. Or, musically, if I'm making a beat and I'm doing something that nobody does, an artist might come in there and they'll be like, man, like that little thing you did right there, like I love that so much. And it's like just trying something new, and it just goes and goes, it just keeps going.
I mean, whenever you have a relationship with somebody, it's way more organic than it is whenever you don't know somebody. I think that's whenever the best music is made, whenever the artist, the producer, everybody is on that same wavelength and everybody is meshing together. Because sometimes you can hear on a track whenever a producer and an artist are kind of clashing.
Yeah, you definitely can tell.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if everybody can tell, but a lot of people can. And, I mean, we've seen it over time, producers and artists don't get along, and then they don't make nothing.
Oh yeah, I've seen it happen over the years, just in my circle of people that I be around. Like, yeah, it clash a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's just dealing with people though. In general, you're gonna run across people that you might not see eye to eye with, and then the people that you mesh with are always the best ones to keep around and keep making music with, man.
For sure.
That's crazy. So you have those 2 albums. You talked a little bit about you're working on a new one.
Working on a new one. I don't have the name for it yet, but I got a few tracks. I got some. Okay. I got some bangers.
And no date or nothing.
Nah, it ain't no date. I usually try to drop my projects around my birthday, but I'm gonna do something different.
Okay. Because the last one was maybe 3 years ago, 2020?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. About the time COVID hit.
Yeah.
And people wasn't really able to get in studios and stuff like that. So, like I said, I had a lot of bangers that a lot of artists just don't really care for. They kind of sleep on them. But I know the potential of them. So, what
was that like for the recording studios and being a producer and stuff? That whole COVID time, that's a crazy time.
Man, it was definitely a crazy time. Thank God for showing me what to do and what not to do through others, you know, that really saved me during COVID because I have a partnership with Warner Chappell. Warner Chappell is Warner Brothers publishing company.
Okay.
You know, Warner Brothers is a branch under Time Warner. So, like, I have a major publishing deal with these people. And just me having the knowledge that I have and, you know, taking the necessary steps to make sure I'm okay, you know, it really saved me during COVID. You know, they send me money. I can see when my money's coming in and stuff like that. So I get to save it, invest it, you know, different shit.
And I know at least for me, I wasn't able to sit down and do interviews or anything. And then I'm sure it hindered a lot with the process of making the music. You weren't able to be in the studio with a lot of people or
Right.
And you wouldn't just have people coming by the studio and stuff. What was that like, having to do everything either online or, you know, real tight-knit circles? And
it was actually cool because sometimes you need that personal space to be able to just create how you want to create without other people's input. And, you know, when you showcase it to other people and let them hear it or let them see it, you know, it really, 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 really shows you, okay, I don't need to do this. I need to do this. Or I'm missing this. I need to add this, you know. So me being able to just sit in the house and create and send out music, it let me know where I need to slow down, where I need to pick up, what I need to add, what I need to take away. You know, it just gave me clarity on how to keep myself relevant and fresh and, you know, all the above.
you know what's crazy to me is the ear that a producer has. The ear for you to be able to, for one, make nothing out of, or make something out of nothing.
Facts. Yeah.
But sometimes you be listening to a song and then they just throw in like a random bell or something. And you're like,
yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah,
that made me tune in.
I don't know what it is about that random bell or this random triplet of a hi-hat or something.
Right.
That ear to be able to do that is something crazy.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Is it something that you've had to develop over time, or have you always noticed those little things in music? Or
It's kind of like, yeah, I kind of developed it over time, but it's also me just getting game from other people who are in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to Sugar Hill one day with my that's who I was forgetting. Shout out to my dog DJ Smart Guy. Can't forget Smart Guy. It's another one of my producers.
okay,
He's real big on mastering and engineering and the overall sound, not just the creation. He's big on the creation, but it's the after. How can we get it to sound big? How can we get it to sound this way or this way? So we went to a little seminar at Sugar Hill one day, and there was a mastering engineer, mixing engineer seminar there, and one of the people who were speaking there told us, you know, you have to think of music like sleeping on a beach. If you're sleeping on a beach, you hear the ocean just
the waves coming in and out.
You could be asleep because you're used to that constant wave, the frequency steady going. But if somebody walks by and steps on a tree branch and breaks it, what's gonna happen?
It's gonna break your attention. You're
gonna wake up. Yeah. So I kind of apply that with everything that I do musically. It has to be something that's gonna make the attention break and make me follow what's going on.
That is, you know, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, you gotta have that.
That you'll be in the groove of the song, you'll be listening to it, and then you hear something that kind of catches you off guard and then brings you back into focus of, okay, I'm listening to this song. Let me hear what it's, you know, everything about it.
It's all about attention span. You know, we all have a long attention span. Sometimes we have a short one. It just depends on the frequency.
I have a short attention span.
That's why you like for things to kind of pop out.
Yeah.
Because it's so consistent, you're waiting for something else to happen to keep you intrigued.
Man, I've never thought about it. I'm
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah, I kind of got music down to a science. It really is a science.
It is a science.
Me and you in this room right now, we wouldn't be able to do this interview if it wasn't for sound.
Yeah.
So sound really runs everything. Life is no fun without sound. So I kind of applied that to the music, because sound is something sacred. It's spiritual.
The sound is just vibration, and life is just all about vibrations and vibes and
It's spiritual. It's sacred.
Yeah.
Very
Dang.
sacred.
Okay, so you do have it. Like, you have it down to a science, man.
Yeah.
What is that kind of science like? Like, whenever you're getting into it, you don't know any of this stuff, and you're just
Right.
like learning this stuff. Like, it just opens up a whole nother world. Basically,
does.
you start looking at everything differently.
Yeah.
That's, man. Hey, shout out to the teachers and shout out to everybody
Facts.
that man.
Facts,
so
man.
so making your albums and stuff, have you ever thought about? I'm real big on the underground here in
Right.
Houston. All these upcoming artists, we have so much potential. We have so much dope artists that are just, you know. Have you ever thought about doing something and, you know, looking out for some of these artists, or like looking at them like, I like what you're doing, I want you to hop on this project, or I want you to.
Yeah, all the time.
Do you keep like your ear to the upcoming artists, or?
Yeah, that's why I said, like, if you go look at the Rebirth came out in 2018. A lot of people didn't know about D Flowers yet. D Flowers is on there.
D Flowers has one of my favorite
know?
voices in Houston.
Yeah, D Flowers is on my album. A lot of people weren't really hip to D Flowers yet, so I shine light on, you know, a lot of the underground artists, and you know, artists like Don Tolliver. Like,
Yeah.
me and Don Tolliver went to middle school together. Like, that's really
crazy.
like, it's really like one of my homies. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had classes together, and me and Don, we just linked. You know, him and Cheddar had already started building a relationship, and Cheddar just put us in the studio together, and we just started creating. And one day, you know, I sent him a pack of beats, and he went to the studio to record. He sent 2 records back, and I'm like, man, this shit is so dope, bro. I gotta send this shit off. So at the time, I still have a great relationship with Jeff Vaughn. Shout out to Jeff Vaughn. He has a new label under Capitol Records right now. It's called, I think it's called Sync, if I'm not mistaken. Or Sonic. No, I think it is Sync. I can't think of what it is right now off the top of my head. But shout out to Jeff Vaughn. Me and him built a relationship over the years, from when I had Flick of the Wrist going crazy. And I sent him 2 records, and he was blown away by one of them. He asked me who Don was, and you know, I put him in contact with Cheddar. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, Jeff flew out here. He grabbed a flash drive with like 40 beats from me. He picked out a few of them, sent them to Don. 2 of those beats ended up making Don's first project, plus the song I had sent him, and another song that we had recorded in my living room. And they signed Don to Atlantic Records.
Whenever you come across an artist like Don Tolliver or something, do you automatically know that they got something big?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You just automatically know they got something
Hell
big.
yeah. That's why I said, like, when Don sent me the records back, I instantly said, man, I gotta send this shit to Jeff Vaughn. Jeff Vaughn is gonna lose his mind. And when I sent it to Jeff, Jeff heard the songs, and he texted me back immediately and said, yo, what the fuck is this? And I said, this is Don Tolliver. Me and him, we went to middle school together. He signed the Cheddar to Connect. You know, we made Flick of the Wrist, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, can you please put me in contact with Cheddar? And like I say, 3 weeks later, they flew out here and signed him.
And what is it about an artist like that that you think that people just gravitate to? Or
like you asked me earlier, the originality, having a sound, stepping out of the limits of what people are hearing, and actually being confident in what you're doing.
yeah,
You know, like, you can't be scared to do something different because that's what's gonna take you to the next level. Just like I tell my producer, Riffit, all the time. Like, he's a very funny guy. A lot of the stuff that he does, if he puts it on camera, he'll go viral. And I tell him this all the time. But I tell him, like, the stuff that you do behind closed doors, that I wouldn't say you're afraid to show people, but the stuff you do behind closed doors is the stuff that makes you the greatest. And so I try to pull people out of their elements and try to get them to show themselves to the world because you're unique.
Yeah.
There's nobody like you. You know what I'm saying? And the minute that you let people know how unique you are, they'll automatically gravitate to you because it's a lot of monkey see, monkey do going on.
Man, producers really are the unsung hero
Yeah.
of the studio and of music. Why is it that? Why do you think that is? Like,
because we give courage to the game. At the end of the day, being a producer, it takes a lot, bro. Like,
it's not just making the beat. I've learned that today. That it's not like, just doing that. There's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah, you have to have courage, man. Like, this stuff takes courage because at the end of the day, an artist can rap on any track if we want to be technical.
Yeah.
But it has to be good. It has to be unique. Has to be fresh. And it has to sound like something. You can't just put stuff together and think it's hot.
Yeah.
You literally have to take your mind and what's going on in the midst of things and kind of put your own twist and be unique in your own way with it. And once people gravitate to it and they, solidify, hey, that's dope. You won.
Man, I think it's so interesting that producers have the power to influence trends of music.
Oh yeah.
And influence the direction that everything goes in. Like starting from, like the boom bap era.
Yeah.
Going into the trap era, going into EDM waves, and now a lot of dance hall and a lot of
Yeah, we literally take our environments and make it sound like something.
And producers are able to pretty much direct the way that the artists are gonna go.
Yeah.
How is it having that kind of I guess power to be able to do
it's
that?
Definitely power. It's just it's kind of like an artist being able to take what everybody thinks and what everybody feels and just go ahead and say it. That's why I say it's kind of like having courage, bro. Because like a lot of people want to do this shit, but they don't have the balls to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like me as a producer, me taking a step out on faith and literally I'm going to do this producer shit and I don't know how I'm going to get paid for it, but I'm going to do it because I love it. That takes a lot of courage and that takes a lot of balls. A lot of people don't have the balls to really step out on faith like that and depend on just strictly God for their living.
Yeah.
So, like I said, like an artist, like let's say Lil Baby or Glorilla, like I mention those two because they know how to say what people are thinking, but they're scared to say it.
Yeah.
And they know how to say it in the right way. You know what I'm saying? So, me being a producer, I know how to take my environment, my feelings, my emotions, and what I'm thinking and make it sound like something to where somebody can rap on it and use those same things to create a feeling that somebody is looking to feel. Music is like a person being right next to you, talking to you, but you can't see them, you can't feel them, you really can't hear them. You know what I'm saying? But it's there. So it's something that you can relate to. It's like having a ghost that's your friend right there.
And then whenever a producer will have a sound like that whole like New York kind of sound, the drill sound right there. Like the first producer that put that out, he probably had no idea the potential and the power that
he knew
that was gonna have. That like
he knew
a lot of
it was
people.
Chief Keef. You know that, right?
Okay.
Chief Keef started the whole drill era.
Yeah.
That's his sound. And
I was
as you can listen,
when that Young Chop was
Chief Keef makes his own beats.
okay. I thought Chop
So-
was
Yeah, he was for a little while,
Okay.
but like if you go listen to Finito, that's one of his biggest songs.
yeah.
Finito is the start of drill rap.
Okay.
Chicago came up with the term drill because that's just the environment they live in.
Yeah.
Chief Keef knew how to make his environment sound like his environment and then rap about it. This is why I said it's kind of like having a friend who's a ghost who can relate to you and y'all could talk about shit. And, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel like how Chief Keef felt when he made the beat and he rapped on it because of the environment they live in.
And then also the influence that it has on just people in general that don't necessarily live that way, but a lot of people like the way it sounds. And then
Facts.
a lot of people like I just say the white people, they like that shit, and then they like, you know, they live vicariously through a lot of the raps and
Right.
they that sound and stuff, and you know, it spreads.
Yep.
It spreads, and then, you know, it's became its own thing to where it's still around today. And
Yeah.
so that
Influence.
that influence is crazy, man. So whenever you're producing and stuff, you told me you like to use a lot of FL, a lot of
Yeah.
Fruity. I mean, you got it on the chain.
Yeah, y'all know.
Come on now.
Yeah, I'm the first and only producer with a FL Studio chain.
Well, I don't know if
Nobody else has ever done it. I know somebody thought of doing it, but I'm the first.
I don't know if they can, but they definitely should give you some money for that, man. Come on now.
for sure.
'Cause you're a big advocate for FL Studios.
Yeah, I knew it was something when I had went to Atlanta for A3C one year, and Sonny Digital was standing right next to me, and he looked. He said, "Bro, that's a FL Studio chain. That's hard as fuck, bro." Yeah, I knew it was very influential then, but yeah, I've been using FL Studio since FL Studio 6,
Okay.
and it's now at 21.
Oof.
Yeah, so you know, FL Studio is very easy to use. It helps me bring my ideas to life quickly because I know music theory, and just having a ton of sounds to be able to manipulate them, how you can manipulate them in there. Y'all know it's tons of effects you could put on your sounds and just stuff like that. They got tools where I could beef my drums up, make my drums sound different. It's just a great program altogether.
And I've heard other producers, you know, somewhat hate on FL Studios, and mainly I guess just because they use different programs or they use different things. What is this FL hate that some people have for it, man?
I don't know, man, but
I know you've probably heard it.
I don't know, but at the end of the day, man, music is music. It doesn't matter how you create it. And that's the biggest thing. Like, everybody has their go-to and their preference and their opinions, but at the end of the day, none of that matters. What matters is, did you get the idea out?
The end,
You know
the
what
end
I'm saying?
project,
The end result. Like, it doesn't matter if you click it in. It doesn't matter if you play it. It's still a sound being put together and organized into organized sound to create a composition. That's just like people saying, "Oh, he clicked it in, blase, blase, blah." But clicking it in is the same as writing sheet music.
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing. Somebody has to play it, but it's literally the same thing.
Okay.
You clicking in is writing sheet music.
Yeah. Man, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, man. It's because, like I said, I'm from the era of, I'm a middle child, you feel me? So I came in watching Shawty Red, Drummer Boy, Zaytoven use MPCs.
Yeah.
They literally had to play everything and record it in. It wasn't no no easy steps. Like right now we have chord modes. Like I use Native Instruments Machine. I use that to make Flick of the Wrist. I used it to make Backhand by Don Tolliver.
Yeah.
I used it to make Around by Don Tolliver. And I can honestly say, like, it doesn't matter if you got one button that plays a chord or not. It's literally making music. It doesn't matter. Like,
it's different methods to make the same end result, as long as the end result is good and it's something that people reflect with and love. I mean,
it's all about getting the vibe out, man. It's all about laying the foundation for the artist. It doesn't matter how you lay the foundation. It's just about getting the record done.
Do you play any instruments, or have you like picked up any instruments in starting, or? You're at drums.
I played percussion in middle school, so I know rudiments and stuff like that. But as far as like
guitars or bass,
the only thing that I really can say I've learned was the piano.
Okay.
You know, my mom put me in piano lessons. It didn't really teach me what I needed to learn necessarily, but I can play a piano.
Okay. I mean, that's all you really need to know, especially with the advancement of pianos and stuff. I mean, keyboards have every sound you could imagine on there. Yeah,
like I'm a percussionist, so xylophones, that's percussion.
Yeah.
You know, but it's set up the same way a piano is.
You don't need to know how to play a trumpet to get a trumpet sound.
Exactly. That's the thing I'm saying about FL Studio or using a Native Instruments Machine. It doesn't matter how you get the sound out. It doesn't matter what you know, as long as the composition is laid out where the artist can use it as a canvas to be able to paint their picture.
Okay. So getting into kind of some of the back ends of producing and being a producer. You know, I'm not gonna ask you nothing about the money, but I want to put some game onto some of these upcoming producers on different ways that you're able to market yourself and gain revenue streams and getting paid as a producer, because a lot of these are upcoming producers, man. Sometimes they need a little guidance.
Yeah, the money come with the game, man. If you're not doing it for the money, then you're doing it wrong. Yeah, you're supposed to do it for the love, but love don't pay the bills, man.
Yeah,
so
facts.
At the end of the day, man, make sure you are getting paid for your music. But how I do it is, just set it up to where you get the residual income, because that's what it's all about. Like publishing royalties, sync license royalties, mechanical royalties, direct streaming royalties from distributors like TuneCore, CD Baby, DistroKid. All of those things play a part. That's why I release my own albums and my own mixtapes, and I own my own content. It's cool to be able to drop records with other artists and let them own it, but what's the point of you being in the industry when you can't own your own music? Because at the end of the day, when you put records out with people, you don't fully own them when you give them exclusive rights.
Yeah.
And as a producer, we take the short end of the stick on every record. You know what I'm saying? So like me, for instance, let's just go with Flick of the Wrist to be exact. Flick of the Wrist, when Flick of the Wrist came out, we did a deal with a company, and they put in my contract for my producer agreement that if Flick of the Wrist sold 10,000 copies, we would boost your percent from 3% to 3.5.
Okay.
If it sells more than 20,000, we'll boost your mechanical royalties to 4%. So I get 4% of the actual sale of the record for Flick of the Wrist, and I get 50% of the publishing.
Okay.
The publishing is where you get paid residually. So those checks come in every month from ASCAP, BMI. I get a domestic check for the United States. I get an international check for overseas, and then I get a publisher's check. So I have my own publishing company, which is Wave Mechanics.
Okay.
As well as it being my production company.
Yeah.
So I get 3 checks every 3 months. And then I have a partnership with Warner Chappell where I get 75% of the other side of the royalties, and they get 25%. So there's 2 100s to a song. I get 50% of the writer's composer share, which is split between me and Cheddar, and then there's a publisher side. So I split my publisher side 50-50 with Warner Chappell. So I get 25%, they get 25%, which equals 50, and then the other 50% is split between me and Cheddar.
Is that something that you just had to learn over time, or is that something that people have put you on game and taught you? Or
Yeah, I actually learned the game from one of my relatives. He used to rap and produce. He used to go. He went by the name of that boy Chico, and he had a song back in 2007-8 called "Boy I Got So Many" with Mike Jones and Gucci Mane on the remix. They had a group called Young Problems.
Boy, I got so man.
Yeah.
That was my ringtone.
That's crazy.
That was my ringtone. That's funny.
So like, my sister has.
I actually listen to that song at least once a month on YouTube.
Yeah, man, it was a pretty big song. One of the biggest songs to come out of the city.
It's one of the songs that gets stuck in my head. Yeah, and I have to listen to it.
Yeah, it broke the mold for a lot of artists from this city, and a lot of artists, they won't say it, but that really paved the way for a lot of artists from that time all the way up till now. They were some of the first people to go in the club and bring flash drives with their music on it and had a DJ plug in the flash drive and pull it off. You know what I'm saying? And my sister has children with his cousin. Okay. So that kind of makes us, related now. And another one of my cousins is also a part of the group. His name is Starstruck. And there's 5 members of the group that came out with the song. The song did really well. And unfortunately, the plans with their deal, they had got a deal with Warner Brothers, and they had a sub company called Asylum, which is still present to this day. Their deal didn't go how they wanted it to go, unfortunately. But with that, they learned a lot in the business, and I was able to come around and produce for them and make beats for them when I was very young, and they taught me a lot of game about what not to do and what to have together, when it comes to this business. That's why I'm able to have a great co-publishing partnership with Warner Chappell to this day.
Man, because you see it time and time again. A lot of these artists don't get, they don't learn anything. Sorry, nobody's able to teach them anything about how deals work and how all this stuff. And then you see it time and time again of these artists just getting bad deals, or
Yeah, they blindly sign a lot of times because they think that if they take too long, the record label will pull back from the deal. Yeah. But what I learned in this game, if the record company was gonna pull out of the deal, they wouldn't have given you the deal.
They're very sure about what they're trying to.
Right. The deal basically shows you that the company wants interest in what you have going on. That's why they give you a deal. And that's why, even though I'm currently in a deal, in the future, I've learned to give my own deals. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it shows that you have interest in the other party. So that's just a little free game for producers and artists. If a company offers you a deal, that means they have interest in you, and it is okay to have your lawyer look over it. It literally took me 3 to 4 weeks for me to get somebody to authentically look over my co-pub deal to tell me that it was a great deal.
And that's important too, is being able to have somebody that knows what they're reading and knows what they're looking for in there. Because I know they try to use language and stuff that they're not going to, you're not going to be able to understand. At least I wouldn't be able to understand. And I'm pretty sure that's the point to it.
Yeah. Like, don't let nobody rush you into signing your deal. Take your time. Because at the end of the day, a record company, they know how to find you. They know how to find you. And if you're taking too long, they don't mind letting you know we're going to pull back on the deal. But at the end of the day, they're not going to pull out on something that it's doing very well. You know what I'm saying? Like me and Cheddar, Flick of the Wrist was almost on the verge of selling 500,000 copies before either one of us signed our deals. So
that's another one of those songs I listen to at least once a week.
Yeah, man. It's still still going crazy in the club. I'm still getting 5 figures off of that one song.
But it's I mean, if people don't know what they're reading, they're gonna have you have to have somebody that's gonna look over it for you.
Facts.
And if they're interested, they're interested.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't. The way I look at it, they wouldn't reach out to you if they weren't 100% sure that they
Exactly.
Their businesses. That's the reason they've been so long.
Yeah, and they have systems in play that we don't have access to, where they can go and look in databases and see numbers and have trajectories to where they do these deals. That's the only reason they give artists and producers deals, is because they have access to stuff that we don't. That's why they can give you a trajectory of, okay, we're going to give him $1 million in advance, because we know by the time 2 years come, we'll make this money back and some, because of how it, trajectory, my bad, not trajectory. Thank you.
And then, but like they know exactly what they're looking for, and if you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing as an artist, making the good music, having, the great rollouts and everything, if you're already doing that, then you shouldn't have to worry about them pulling out, because you're already putting out.
Exactly my point.
Yep. You're putting out what you're doing. You're doing something right.
They know what you're putting down, man. And they want to be a part of it, because you're making money without them, So they want to make some money with you. That's all it is.
Do you I mean, you're in a partnership and stuff, but do you recommend, or are you an advocate for people, or obviously you're close with TSF and everybody there, very, very great independent.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just all about
whatever works for you, or
I would say it's about what works for you, but it's all about the mentality and what you're trying to do as far as influence, culture. It's one more thing I can't really influence, culture, and how to generate money, basically. So in other words, if you're putting so much money into it and you're not really seeing the investment, then it would be good to go with a label. But if you have such of a great influence, just like the Sauce Twins had, you don't really need a label, because your influence is so strong that you can pretty much press a button and you can make your fans do exactly what you want them to do. That's just like when we first started putting out the drip for real. Like, everybody couldn't go to the club and not hear music and put their hand on their hip and point a certain way, or just, the whole, like all of that is just, it's an influence.
It's
like,
so influential.
You don't have to really do anything outside of being yourself to get people to fuck with your movement.
And it's a worldwide influence.
Yeah. So that's why I said, like, the labels, they have budgets to where they can market shit and put shit where you need it to go for the influence to be seen.
Yeah.
But then, like I say, you have people like the Sauce Twins who can just entertain, and that's the influence. They're
just them. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're just people just gravitate to them.
Yeah, it's just the influence. It's all about influence.
You've seen it in all over the music too.
Yeah, still to this day, it's almost 10 years later, and everybody is still talking about saucing and dripping. Yes, it might have been people that came up with their idea of it and wanted to push it, but it's not about who does it first. It's about who does it the best. And TSF got it hands down.
Oh, hands down. For
Facts.
Sure. For sure. So what is next for Fred, man? You're growing every day. You're growing every month. What is next? What is the next thing you want to do, man?
Man, eventually I'm gonna start up a record company, become an exec. You know, I see myself being, you know, like Master P or Suge Knight or, you know, Jay Prince or Irv Gotti. Who else can I name? P. Diddy. You know, all these great influential black kings who took matters into their own hands and, you know, showed people that music is just like having equity in stock or equity in land or farmland or anything like that. As y'all can see, P just sold QC for $300 million, man. It's a lot of money, man.
It is.
You know, so I just see myself, you know, pushing the culture even more. I've done a lot for my city as far as the culture. Like, you know, I was the first producer to kick the door in on a side where we didn't have to talk about the culture as much, you know. Not saying there's nothing wrong, there's something wrong with talking about the culture, but when people view Texas, they view us as horse riding, cowboy boots, cowboy hat, swangers, slow so much more music, sipping syrup, and grills and big belt buckles and baggy pants, and we slow. Nah, I was the first producer to kick in the door and say, look, we got banging ass 808s.
There's so much more.
We got snappy snares, snappy hi-hats coming through, and we got a dark sound that nobody else can recreate, even the flow all the way down to, you know, the shit that we were doing when we created Flick of the Wrist. Like, that song broke the mold for all producers, all artists to really just be themselves and make great music. You don't have to come down. You don't have to know what I'm talking about. Like, you can get in the door and make some hot shit. And if it's just hot, it's just that. And you can still rep your culture. You could still say I'm from H-Town. You could still say we still sipping drink. We still doing this. But you don't have to make music like it. I was the first producer to make all producers and artists be comfortable with being themselves.
And was that like something you had in mind, or did that just kind of happen?
It wasn't. It wasn't a thought in my mind. It was just me being who I wanted to be. And I didn't care who thought it was whack. I didn't care who thought it was dope. More people thought it was dope more than they thought it was whack, though, because we sold millions of singles.
And then I'm sure that a lot of people had the same kind of mindset to whenever they heard it, they're like, "Oh, this is different."
Yeah.
And it's you know, it's taking the music into a different direction, and
facts.
It's done nothing but grow the city and grow the sound of the music here. It's I mean, you changed everything.
For sure. Like, people don't really like take the time to really understand the catalog or numbers of that nature because it's streaming now, but I've literally done anywhere roughly to 200 million streams across all my music.
What is that like whenever, you know, from seeing where you started to where you are now, you know, and then plaques and seeing, you know,
I seen it. I had dreams when I was young. I already knew what was gonna happen. I dreamed about it and shit my pants, not literally, but I shit my pants waking up out of my dreams to see how unreal it was, and to actually see it unfold, it really didn't shock me. Like, my brother, he knows, like, I used to tell him all the time when he got out from prison, like, we used to go to the club and we used to pop bottles and tear the club up. And I used to tell him every time we would leave the club, or just when we were together all the time, even to this day, like, bro, we gonna be some of the biggest people to ever do this shit out the city. And me and him just making music and doing what we do and building relationships, we end up running into Sauce Walka. Sauce Walka and my brother, they linked up together and was like, man, we finna do this shit. We gonna call it, you know, what we gonna call it, and this is gonna be the movement from the north to the south. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, you know, we just started building and we took over the city. Fuck the city, we took over the world.
Yeah. Do you ever take time to just like sit back and reflect on it and like
All the time, man. All the time. I wouldn't be where I am today if I wouldn't have put the necessary steps in to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I didn't really have a thought in my mind to, I'm going to be the biggest, or I just knew I was hard.
yeah.
And I wasn't going to let nobody tell me that I wasn't hard. And the fact that I believed in myself so much, it bought everything that came with me believing that. I manifested everything, literally, from speaking about it to thinking about it to feeling it. I brought it to me.
That's good. I mean, I fucks with that. Outside of music, what do you do? Like, are you passionate about anything outside of producing?
Hell yeah. I'm a very passionate cooker. Like, I can cook my ass off.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm really thinking about it this summer. I ain't even gonna say I'm thinking about it. I already got plans on doing it. I just gotta go get me another pot. But it is crawfish season. My mom, she's Creole. You know, my mom's side of the family is from New Orleans.
Okay.
My dad's dad, they're also from Louisiana. So I have a lot of that in my blood. You feel me? So I'm gonna do some crawfish, some shrimp, snow crabs. I'm gonna start boiling that shit during the summertime.
Got to be extra hot though, extra spicy.
Oh yeah, I love it spicy, and I know how to make a stupid, mean, nasty ass garlic butter.
Ooh. Now you speaking my language. That's
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna switch over to a food podcast.
But yeah, I could cook my ass off, man. I'm very passionate. For New Year's, I just made a super big ass pan of oxtails.
Okay.
Big ass pot of cabbage for my in-laws.
Okay. Fred on the grill.
Yeah, man. I do a lot of shit, man. I'm a tourist, so I feel very deeply about things, especially things that I do. So when it comes to small shit like cooking, like I'm very passionate about anything I put my time and effort into.
Yeah.
And I'm heavily, deeply passionate, like I said. Like I feel it like down in my spirit. Like when I'm making a beat, I feel it down in my spirit.
Yeah.
When I'm cooking a meal, I feel it down in my spirit. Like I literally put love into anything that I do. That's just the type of person I am.
And they both get a reaction from people whenever you make a good song.
Yeah.
That and then whenever somebody tries something good, it's that same ooh.
Yeah, I was supposed to cook crawfish today. I was asked to cook crawfish today, but you know, I gotta handle my business, man.
I appreciate you for taking the time, man. I really do.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate you for having me, man. Anything, you know, you need, you know, let me know.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I really do. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you at? And then also let everybody know that the beat page, because I was looking through that, man.
Oh, man. Y'all can find me everywhere at Fred on them. FredOnem. And I have an app coming in a couple of weeks.
Ooh.
Where you can go and download the app out of Google Play or the App Store on your iPhone. And I got beats on there, updating it weekly. You know what I'm saying? Plenty of fresh beats, hard beats. You can order mix and mastering services through the app. You can pay with Cash App, PayPal through the app. And I have deals going crazy. So tap in. Or you can go to FredOnTheBeats.com. FredOnTheBeats.com.
Hey, man. We out here. Stay slumped.
Yes, sir. I ain't smoked in a little bit, so I ain't slumped today. But come May 10th, my birthday, we going to get very slumped.
We out here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay slumped.
Yes, sir.
Roll it up, let it slump. Roll it up, let's roll it up. Why talk about it, be about it, take another shot.